and welcome to this Leaf Open Farm Sunday Bite-Size webinar. I'm Annabelle Shackleton and I'm going to be the host today. So the topic is making your event memorable for Leaf's Open Farm Sunday on the 11th of June 2017. So the first thing to think about is how you're going to make your event memorable. What part of the farming story do you want to share with your visitors? What memories do you want your visitors to go home with after they've been to your farm? And how do you want to get your message across to your visitors? There are some key principles to think about to make the link between what you do on the farm and people's lives, the food they eat, the things they do at home. Keep it simple, engage their senses, their smell, their touch, their taste, make it memorable. So it's interesting, relevant and amusing. Some key principles to think about are that people generally remember about 10% of what they read, 20% of what they hear, 30% of what they see, 50% of what they hear and see, and 90% of what they say and do. So try and engage your visitors, get them to participate in their visit so they'll remember more and go home with a really positive impression of your farm and British farming. And don't forget, attention spans today are very short, maximum of 20 minutes for adults and less for children. So we pride ourselves in the fantastic feedback that we get from our farmers and visitors after Open Farm Sunday. And here are just a few examples of some of the fantastic feedback that we've had from visitors. It was the passion with which the farmers spoke about the land, the animals and the environment, amazing dedication to the job. The vast amount of different machinery used on the farm, how much science is involved, a really fantastic day and so well organised and interesting. And to produce 1 kilogram of meat required 7 kilograms of grain. That visitor was obviously paying definite attention to what the farmer was saying. So let's move on now and think about what you actually can organise for your event. Now, one of the first and most important things is to have a welcome desk. Welcome people onto the farm. On the right-hand side, they've actually made a part of their event the having foot baths for visitors. And so you can talk about that to visitors as they come through the gate and wash their shoes. Now, the welcome desk is one place where some farmers will have somebody with a ticker to count the number of visitors. We're always keen to know how many visitors attend Open Farm Sunday events. Don't forget as well to have good signage at your event. We have some wonderful PDF signs that you can download and print off the website in the resources section, and make it clear where activities are. Also make it clear what activities you're actually planning for the event. This is a simple whiteboard that a farmer puts up at his event so that when people arrive they know what to expect and what they can see and do. Because don't forget, the majority of your visitors to your farm will not have been on a farm before. And then, of course, we have a video and photo consent form. So if you're planning to take any photographs or any films during your event to use for promotional or marketing reasons, then you please do put up this sign. Again, it can be downloaded from the website to asking for video consent, so that any visitors, and this should be displayed at the entrance at the welcome desk, so that any visitors who do not want to be included in any photographs or film can contact the farmer and make their presence known. So one of the main activities that farmers organise for Open Farm Sunday are farm walks. 62% of events last year had a hosted farm walk, 53% self-guided farm tours, 43% of events had tractor and trailer rides. So here you can have a self-guided walk. There are people walking through these polytunnels. Whatever you decide to organise for your farm walk, one thing that we would strongly recommend that you prepare in advance and make sure that you're all propped up. As you can see on the left, you can have lots of different bits of equipment. These are props that you can talk about whilst you're doing your farm walk. You can hand them around to your visitors. They can look at them. You can ask people if they know what a tool is, what it's for. And they're on the right-hand photograph. We've got Phil Jarvis, who's got a grain in his hand. He's talking about what they're producing in the field. the children can touch and feel the greyness, and there's some oil there as well. So he's talking about the link with what they grow in the farm, in the field, and what people actually see and do at home. So, and the food they eat. Having signs, preparation is key. You might want to have signs, you might want to have a shopping basket showing the food that we eat. I think that's fabulous. The picture on the right-hand side from Frogmary Green Farm there, showing the crop in the field, some information about it and what it goes into making. And also on farm walks, whether guided or self-guided, you can have information boards. And Leaf has a number of information boards that are available through our website, the leafuk.org website, for farmers to buy. And there's, I believe, a 30% discount for Leaf members. But we have a whole range of different boards which you can put up on a farm trail to explain what people can see in the fields. We also have a Leaf Farm Trail specifically designed for young children and families. It's a series of 9 boards that helps to explain what sustainable farming is all about. These can be, the height of them fits onto an A3 sheet of paper. The PDFs of these can be downloaded from the Open Farm Sunday website, laminated and put up around the farm. And there's, in the photograph on the left, you can see the size of them, and then there's a form for children to complete where they have to read the information on each board, complete the boxes on the form, and then there is a solution at the end. We also have the mini fields concept that many host farmers are already implementing at their Open Farm Sunday events, but it's a great way to be able to talk about the crops that you're growing in your fields. So you look at a square metre of ground and think about the inputs and talk about the inputs and the outputs from that square metre, as you can see Andrew Melton on the left there doing. And he's talking here about winter malting barley. So in the column on the left, there's the statistics there for the different inputs, and from a square metre on average you'll get 750 grams of barley, which could make 11 pints of beer, 1 bottle of whiskey, or 265 37-gram packs of Maltesers. And I tell you what, so many people who come to visit your farm would not realise that a crop grown in a field would have anything to do with Maltesers. And of course Andrew doesn't invite people to go on a farm walk, it's a Malteser safari that they go on. So we're also keen for all our Leaf members and our Leaf Mark farmers who participate in Open Farm Sunday to talk about integrated farm management and sustainable farming, so people can actually see in real life what it means to actually farm sustainably. So please use props to talk about integrated farm management. So you could talk about the soils, and here this is a really extensive soil pit that's been dug out at G's over in Cambridgeshire, and they actually had some soil scientists from a local university talking about the soil there. But you can do it on a much smaller scale, and here we've got a farm in Warwickshire where the agronomist has just got a fork there and just digging out the soil and looking at it and getting the visitors to actually feel the soil and talk about how they analyse it and manage the soil there. And of course another great thing to do is to actually have a Rhizotron on display. So build a framework of wood, a couple of pieces of perspex or old glass windows, and then actually grow some plants so that visitors can see the soil and the roots of the plants penetrating into the soil, which is great to be able to use as a prop to talk about the soils on your farm. You can talk about water, and here at Tiptree they have a fast-flowing river nearby that they actually don't want visitors to go near. So they actually have a paddling pool, and they bring water up from the river, put it in the paddling pool, and then children can pull out jars of water and have a look and see all the bugs and beasties that are in there. But for other people who've got water, it may actually be a feature of your event. And here at a farm in Cheshire, they're actually doing pond dipping to look at all the wildlife that's in the water there. So highlighting science on a farm is really important to Leaf and Open Farm Sunday. We know that our visitors really appreciate it. So here this gentleman is using a USB microscope to actually enlarge the bugs and beasties in those Petri dishes, and he actually let the children have a go as well, which is fantastic. And they just love getting involved and seeing bugs and beasties brought to life. And then they actually also had on display a poster where you could put on 3D glasses to see some of the pests in 3D. So this is a great example of getting an industry expert on board to come to your event, to run a stand and interact with your visitors, to just embellish your event. And we're delighted this year to once again actually be offering to farmers Science on the Farm resources with funding from BBSRC. They are in development at the moment, but as soon as they are available to order, we will get them sent out to host farmers. So keep an eye on your newsletters, more information to follow soon. So whilst you're organising a farm walk, you might have an agronomist who could talk about your crop. Here in Cambridgeshire, they actually grow crops, different patches of crops right next door to the farmyard, so that all the visitors that come don't have to go miles into the countryside to see the different crops. They can actually see them from the farmyard, and there's an expert there talking about the crops and what those are used for. If you have animals, getting an expert to talk about the animal feed. Here there's a display, this is in Somerset on a chicken farm, and the feed merchant there is talking about how the feed is changed for the different age of chick that it's being fed, and they had one of their massive wagons there and talking about how they bring the food onto the farm every couple of days. Really fascinating to find out about the science behind animal feed. Here we've got a vet who's giving people the opportunity to actually see a calf inside a cow's womb and actually see it being scanned. And as you can see there from that Facebook comment that just said, Charlie finding out this cow is pregnant and seeing the calf on screen, he was so thrilled. I mean, what a wonderful experience for that child to have. So, a lot of events, as I said, do actually organise tractor and trailer rides. If you're not planning to, don't worry, but it is a key feature of a number of events. There are different ways that you can manage the tractor trailer ride. Here at Overbury Estate, their whole Open Farm Sunday event is a tractor and trailer ride. You have to book up to go onto the tractor trailer ride at specific times, and the trailer ride is an hour and a half long. The majority of farms would actually organise a general Open Farm Sunday event, and a tractor and trailer ride is one of the activities that you can do at the event and queue up and go on it. Quite a few people worry about booking people onto events, and I know that more and more Open Farm Sunday host farmers are actually using Eventbrite, which is a free online event registration system. If you listened to the Scotland webinar a couple of weeks ago, there was Caroline Miller there saying that she had 600 visitors to her farm, and almost all of them booked on to attend at different times during the day through Eventbrite. She only had about 50 people who turned up on spec. So it's a great way to help manage the flow of people to your event and to your attractions. So here we've got Jake at Overbury. They had 2 tractors and trailers there, and as you can see underneath the umbrella there's Penelope there holding a speaker, and there the agronomist is talking to the visitors on the trailers about what he does. So here he is, and they've prepared a piece of machinery in the field, so the agronomist can talk about the machinery, talk about his role, his job, talk about the crops being grown, and how he looks after and manages the plants. Further along the Overbury tour, there's William Fox from Frontier, who talks about the different crops in the field and what they're actually used for, and how oilseed rape becomes oil, and a whole host of other different things as well. So, but for larger events, this here is MHS Farms near Peterborough. They have over 5,000 visitors, so they actually don't book people onto the rides. It's a first come, first serve. Here's a queue for their farm safari. They have 4 tractors and trailers that continuously go around the event, go around a set route with, and on board they have a couple of presenters, a microphone system so that everyone can hear what's happening. And look there by this gentleman's elbow, you can see they've actually got a plastic tub there with lots of produce that you would see at home in your larder, and he's talking about the crops that they grow in the fields and how the crops are used to produce food. You might decide to actually organise a tractor trailer ride where you actually stop and allow people to get off the trailer to talk about what you're doing on the farm, but that does take time. And one thing that a lot of feedback that we get from farmers is that, quite honestly, a 20-minute tractor and trailer ride or less is plenty. I've often heard of farmers who set off at the beginning of their Open Farm Sunday day with the plan of having a 45-minute tractor and trailer ride, but as the queues of visitors increases, it gets shorter and shorter. Visitors are just happy to go for a sort of 10, 15, 20-minute tractor and trailer ride. It doesn't need to be longer. So a tractor and trailer ride would generally start and finish in a farmyard, and here we've got a picture of Ali Hunter-Blair's Open Farm Sunday event over in Herefordshire. And so you'll probably want to organise a few different activities so that whilst people are waiting for the tractor trailer ride or farm tour, or at the beginning or at the end, so they've got different activities that they can do. So think of all the business contacts that you have in your farming business and see if you can invite them to come along and run a stand at your event. The more interactive, the better, but it just gives the opportunity to tell the farming story in a different way. And visitors just love meeting all the different people involved in the farming industry. Here up in Scotland, we've got a couple of farmers who are talking about the crop being grown, and look, some more examples of food that people eat. And we'll just go back there on the right there. Buying a very cheap, simple grinder for grinding grain into flour is a lovely process that children just love doing, and you can talk about it. And here they're talking about how the grain is made into breakfast cereal, but it just really hits home the message and makes it more memorable for visitors. Organising competitions is another great one. People love to have a go at a quiz. This is Sutton Settled Estates, and they've got some plants, some produce, and opportunity for people to try and marry up the two. So it's a learning opportunity as well. And then at Wilberks Farm, they actually had an animal challenge where they had the picture of the animal, the housing where the animal lives, the footprints, and you had to try and marry them all together. And I hate to say it, but people just find poo really funny. So if you want to do something like have bags of poo or photographs of poo, different animals, and try and get your visitors to marry up the animal with the feed that they eat and with the poo, they will find it hilarious. So machinery, 67% of Open Farm Sunday events last year had static machinery displays. Don't forget to make sure that if you allow people up into a tractor or into a cab, to have somebody there to help supervise so there are no accidents. Make sure the key's been removed, keep the fuel tank as empty as possible, and put chocks under the equipment so there aren't any accidents. But this is fantastic. We get so many comments from people to say to actually be able to sit in the cab of a combine harvester is amazing. And this event is at College Farm, and the Open Farm Sunday event actually finished at about 5 o'clock, and this was still at 6 o'clock. There were still these half a dozen people in the queue, and they would not go home until they had sat in that combine harvester seat. So it's really rewarding and just so memorable for visitors. It's also a great opportunity, machinery, to talk about how farming has changed. Look, we've got a vintage piece of equipment there, and then a modern John Deere tractor showing all the satellite equipment there. And if you listen to Ali Hunter-Blair's presentation in the second webinar, he was saying that one of his most effective and most memorable presentations he gave at his Open Farm Sunday event was talking about the accuracy of satellite navigation kit, and saying that the GPS system on a mobile phone is accurate to about 5 meters. So he drew a 5-meter radius circle on the ground. And then he picked up a 50p piece and showed it to visitors and said that the GPS system on his tractor is accurate to 2.5 centimetres, which is roughly the size of a 50p piece. And his visitors were absolutely bowled over by the technology used in modern farming. Here on this farm in the West Midlands, they've actually chosen to put the monetary value onto all the machinery here on display. And there's a gentleman there ready to talk to visitors about the different pieces of machinery. But another thing that you could do is actually host a mock auction. And that's a way of getting people to bid for equipment. So it gives the auctioneer the opportunity to talk about the equipment and what a piece of equipment will be used for, what its features are, and then if you plant a couple of people in the visitors who are there, who know to start bidding, then it will chivvy the visitors along, and people who are shy will soon actually join in the auction and have a lot of fun pretending that they're buying machinery. Another participation activity is using some lambing weighing scales. Look, this family's having just such great fun there, weighing relatives. But this brings me on to talking about animals and Meet the Animals. 85% of Open Farm Sunday events last year had the opportunity for visitors to meet animals, and what a special moment it is. So you could be handling chicks, it could be feeding sheep, it could be watching a sheep shearing demonstration, touching a fleece. You could actually have some spinners there, weaving, spinning the fleece into wool and weaving or making lace. But I want to give you a couple of examples of some fabulous farms that do a really good job thinking about the health and safety behind having animals at open farm events. Here, this is down in Somerset, Frogmary Green. They have a team of Crewkern young farmers who help out. The whole animal touching area is contact area is actually cordoned off with these fences, these barriers. What you can see on the screen is the entrance. The young farmers there ensure that everybody wanting to come into the animal contact area comes through that entrance and nobody leaves through it. Everybody has to leave through the exit, which is on the photograph on the left, and you can see there are lots of signs saying wash your hands. There are more young farmers there to make sure that everybody is funneled past the taps that are there and that everybody washes their hands, and they have running water, liquid soap and paper towels and a bin to put the towels in. So please, this is a fantastic example of how to manage an animal contact area. It is of paramount importance that all visitors to farms where there are livestock, that people keep their hands clean so that no infection is passed into the body. This is another example. This is back at MHS Farms near Peterborough. This is a huge event with thousands of visitors, so they have a livestock zone, and here's the queue of people going into the event, but it is really well managed. All the visitors, the queue, they go in, they follow the route round the back, the outside edge of the barn, as you can see here, then they go up through the middle. The livestock is kept in these cordoned off areas. They have lots of helpers who are there, and they do actually allow their visitors to touch the animals, and the supervisors and the helpers there to maintain the welfare of the animals and to manage the process. And as people leave, everybody has to walk past these taps here, and this father and daughter on the right hand side were actually intercepted by the supervisors, who said, no, you can't bypass the sinks, you do have to wash your hands, please wash your hands. And so they did. And great to see that they've got a bail there for the child to stand on, so that the taps are actually accessible to younger people as well. But another great example of temporary hand washing facilities with liquid soap, running water and paper towels. Lots of signs and supervised well. And here's just a summary of what I've just said there to you. So All visitors have to ensure that they wash hands after touching animals and before eating. No eating and drinking can take place in animal contact areas, and they must use liquid soap, running water, paper towels, have a bin, and make sure the area is supervised. And all the information about animal contact areas and health and safety is in the Industry Code of Practice, which can be accessed from the Open Farm Sunday website. So please make sure that you read it. Talking about animals, well, how about eating them? And another great feature on an Open Farm Sunday event is actually to get a butcher to come along and talk about the different cuts of meat. And also having food available at events. Last year, 76% of Open Farm Sunday events did have food and refreshments available to visitors. A lot of people, when they go out these days, they expect to be able to have a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, and be able to buy something to eat. And of course, they are really keen to buy British produce as well. You can have your animals in a pen, but how about having a farmer in a pen? And a couple of farms that I know, especially ones where there are larger numbers of visitors, they actually have an area that's cordoned off and marked up as an Ask a Farmer area, so that the visitors are free to move around the event as they wish, but if ever they have any questions about farming, they know that they can go to the pen, the Ask a Farmer pen, where the farmer will hopefully be able to answer their questions if they've got any. And pig racing. We often see a number of host farm, Open Farm Sunday events that promote that they have pig racing. And yes, some live pig racing does go along, but this really just tickles me here. They've got some wooden pigs cut out on blocks of wood with pieces of string and a baton that you pull along. This is my favourite type of pig racing. What fun for the children. You could have a go activities, whether or not you actually have a dairy enterprise on your farm or not. You could, from our website, you can get hold of details to make a stand-up cow. So you could actually give children the opportunity to milk a cow. And then on the right-hand side here, there's a cow with lots of flaps to lift with fascinating facts underneath about dairy farming. How about getting your visitors to pick your own? Here, the farmer has specifically planted an area with potatoes so that visitors can dig up the potatoes. They've actually got a piece of vintage equipment that ploughs the land. The visitors pick as many potatoes as they can and give a donation to charity. And here on the left, picking celery. How fantastic. What a great activity for children to do as well. Having displays of wonderful British produce. It looks so amazing, so tempting, and just brilliant for visitors to see the full range and diversity of produce that's grown on British farms. And I said at the beginning, getting people to engage their senses. Look, we've got some posters here on display, but then we've got a sack of grain and a tub of wheat, and then a wheat plant and some bread that really makes the link between food and farming. How about organising a bug hunt or doing a pollinator survey or a bug survey on your farm? Children just loved getting involved with looking for things, looking for insects and bugs and beasties. And you can get an expert from the Wildlife Trust or a local school or college or university to come along and help out. Here are some activities for children being organised by a local vet so that children can actually dress up and have a go at doing some different veterinary nursing activities. And also just having some fun activities for people to do on the farm. Here at Tiptree, they organise welly wanging. You might have some plastic tractors for children to play on. And here, a simple play area at an event, and they've got some Tate and Lyle sugar cubes for the little boy to build his own sugar cube mountain. You might have some old farmyard play equipment that you could put out for children to play with. And here's another one that makes the link with food and farming. This is shaking cream into butter so that everybody can go away with a little pot with cream in. Along similar lines, you might have a sausage making event where children can come along or parents can come along, put plastic gloves on, make their own sausages, weigh them, pay their money and go home with sausages that they've made themselves. What a fantastic activity. Other demonstrations might be getting a farrier in or a beekeeper to talk about the importance of bees. Competitions are great. This is something that I've highlighted on our Facebook group, but asking local school children to design a scarecrow, bringing the scarecrows in on Open Farm Sunday, putting them on display, and here they've got boxes for people to vote on which is their favourite, and there was a prize for the best scarecrow. At College Farm, they actually invite people to make their own scarecrows, so they have lots of sticks, posts there, lots of old clothing and some straw, and the visitors are invited to make some scarecrows, and there's a wonderful selection made a couple of years ago. From AHDB, you can order in sheets for, this is some grain art where they've supplied lots of different tubs of grain and glue, or they could colour in the images. How about making art with vegetables? Whoa, some vegetable sculptures, fantastic. And just simple colouring in. Lovely activities that children will enjoy doing at their event, and something for them to take home afterwards as well. And so don't forget, we are in Britain, so make sure that you've got some wet weather plans. A lot of the activities that I've just been talking about are great to organise in a barn, so if the weather is bad, then there will be things for your visitors to see and do. And don't forget that people will still come out. These photographs were taken in 2011, where it rained across England from 8 in the morning till 6 o'clock at night, but we still had 150,000 visitors that went out onto farm, and the grandparents were saying that they promised to take the grandchildren out to a farm on that Sunday, and they had to do it. So please be prepared for wet weather plans. So our top tips: please vary the different activities that you make available to your visitors. Use lots of props and displays. You can ask questions, engage in conversation with your visitors. Don't let them just walk past. If you can just break the ice, you can really start a conversation with them, and they love having the opportunity to talk to a farmer and an expert from the industry. Don't overload people. Keep it simple. When you're talking to people, minimise distractions. Make sure that if you have got a group of people on a farm walk, that there's nothing distracting, so people can actually focus on what you're saying and that they can listen and hear what you're saying. Keep it simple and really enjoy the experience. And so that's the end of this webinar. It's just left for me to talk about the absolute essentials that you need to do for your Open Farm Sunday event. Please register your event at farmsunday.org. Do inform your insurance company that you are running an Open Farm Sunday event, because you need to have public liability insurance. Don't forget to order licenses. If you have music, a farmer's market, sell food, or over 500 visitors, you are likely to need a license, so do contact your local authority. Check all the health and safety requirements for your event. Do look at the industry code of practice, and you must complete a risk assessment for your event before it starts. So thank you very much indeed for listening. If there are any more ideas or for more ideas, please do go to the private Host Farmer Facebook group. The link is there. There's a link in the email that all registered host farmers get as well, where we can share ideas. If you've got any fabulous ideas that you'd like to share with other farmers, please go onto the Facebook group and post your ideas up there, and likewise go to the Facebook group and see what other farmers can ideas that you can utilise for your Open Farm Sunday event. So thank you very much for joining me today, and I hope you found this really useful. Good luck with your Open Farm Sunday event.